give up on this whole thing. It's time for book 2. I'm pretty happy with book 2, quite a bit rougher. So, here we go. My initial plan for this video was that it was going to be the video where I laid out what I was going to be doing for the rest of the year. I was going to say, I read the books, that was my first job, and now I know what I need to do. Here's the plan for the year. It turns out that I'm not ready for that video yet. This video is some reflections on my reading of the books and just some general thoughts about what has to happen. It is Wednesday, January 17th, and I've just finished reading book 2. This one is kind of in a weird place compared to book 1. I expected book 1 to be rougher, but it ended up being more solid than I'd expected. There's work that needs to be done, and it needs kind of an overall polish and quality lift because, I wrote it several years ago, and I've written 2 books since then. Book 2 is prose-wise, a little bit tighter most of the way through. But the thing that I'm less sure about is the theme, like the main through lines. I have to do some work with the character arcs and how they connect to the main theme of the book. And that's one of the things that I've been quite proud of with these books, is that I actually think, although I didn't intend for it at first, I actually think there's some pretty cool themes in them, which was part of what drew me to want to continue working on this story. So I know that I have some work to do on that. So anyways, overall, I'm pretty happy with book 2. It is time to start book 3. So So it's January 23rd, and I just finished reading book 3. I started this read through of the books about a week and a half ago, and I knew I had to do that before I could dig into any of the revision or editing or anything else, because I really just needed to know what I was starting with. So I guess it's time to dig into what I found out. Overall, for books 1 and 2, I was pretty happy with what's there. Book 3 is quite a bit rougher than I remembered. I'm really glad that I put the first video out already, because if I hadn't, I think right now I'd be really tempted to give up on this whole thing. And that's maybe a bit dramatic. But after reading through book 3, it feels pretty overwhelming. Book 3 needs some pretty substantial work. And I don't know, I seem to forget this in between each book. After book 1, I spent a solid couple months going through it page by page and revising and editing and changing things. And there are some of the parts of book 1 that I'm proudest of came about in that draft 1.5. And book 2 had some pretty substantial sections rewritten. I wrote the whole thing and then went back and changed a huge plot point, and I moved it to a different place in the book. Those things, I did those revisions already. So it shouldn't be surprising to me that book 3 feels very, very incomplete compared to the other 2, because it is. I think the overwhelming part comes from the fact that the first 2 books are quite a bit shorter. Book 3 is quite a bit longer. and it just feels like there's so much to do. The next video will be coming fairly soon, because the next step is for me to go through my notes that I took while reading the books and actually organize what has to happen. A fair bit of this has felt like quite a downer. I've been talking about all the things I have to do and how I haven't been feeling great about it and how overwhelmed I'm feeling by the amount of work that I have to do. And there is some of that feeling. And as I was finishing reading book 3, there was a lot of that feeling. But as I've been talking about what I'm going to be doing and thinking about this goal and the work that I want to do this year on this project, there's also this like excited feeling of it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a lot of work and some of it's going to be really hard, but I'm excited that it's actually gonna happen. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can see the rest of these update videos if that's something you're interested in. You can like the video, that's always helpful. If you're one of the 19 people who watched the first video, thank you. I appreciate you. You're lovely. Hopefully this second video proves that I'm gonna keep up with doing this and maybe it's worth your time to follow along on my journey. Anyways, that's what I've got for this time. So thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.